I will get started on the podcast. Okay. Are you ready?
Yep.
Awesome. Cool. Hello, and welcome to the Connected Coach podcast. This is a podcast for health and fitness coaches to come and feel supported and connected and to get tools for deeper transformation for yourself and for your clients. My name is Hannah Deindorfer. I am your magical, fairy, human guide, business coach person, and the host of this podcast, and I will be supporting you in this journey. Today, I'm super excited to share that we have a guest volunteer as tribute, Vanika, who is here to get some free coaching. And also, I think this is a topic that we're going to work through today is going to be super supportive for you. We're going to talk through authenticity, how to show up online, how to connect with people, how to really relate to your ideal client. That's what she wants to work on today. So it's going to be so fun. I'm very excited. It's going to be a good one. So Vanika, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
I'm so excited too. So I would love for you to share just a little bit about your background, like where you come from, how you got here, in like 5 minutes or so. Let's do like a 5-minute life story. How are you here right now, arrived here?
All right. So I was born and raised in England. Then I moved to America when I was like 19, so about 7 years ago now. And growing up, I was always like the shy person. And then when I moved to America, I was like, great, let me like reinvent myself and be the yes person instead. So in college and throughout the rest of my life so far, I guess I've always tried to say yes to everything possible. And while I was in college, I was studying nutrition. I became a dietitian. And one of the things I said yes to was working out and training with one of my best friends who was training for a bikini competition at the time. I didn't compete, but I just kind of like did the training thing along with her. And it really opened my eyes to like how nutrition and fitness can work together. And so from that kind of moment forward, I knew that I really wanted to show other people, you know, how they can get involved in the gym, how they can start lifting, and just kind of work through that with them. And that's what made me want to be a coach. And so now I run my own business online as a dietitian and personal trainer. And yeah, that's kind of how I got to where I am.
Amazing. I love that. Good story. There are some bits and pieces in there that I think are going to be really useful for our conversation too. So I'm gathering information too as we go. I'm curious to know, and you can share this, and we talked about this a little bit before we got on this call. What exactly are you having the most difficulty with right now in your business that you want to get support on today?
So I think I'm dealing most with being authentic and showing up as myself online. Going through school and being a dietitian, we were always told to be super professional, that there's a certain way to do things. You know, online and running our own business was never something we covered in school. And so I think for me, being able to connect with people one-on-one through social media, coming off as like who I am, as opposed to coming across as like this professional person, is something that I like definitely struggle with. Like there's two sides and how to balance those together.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. So I'm going to start with a really broad, challenging question. You said you want to show up as yourself. You said you're like, okay, I don't want to be this other persona or inauthentic. Who are you? What is Vanika? Yeah. What is yourself? Like, how do you view yourself, or how do you be in the world, not online?
So that's a really good question. I think like how my friends would describe me is probably an easier way for me to answer this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I like to think that I'm really outgoing. I'm very adventurous, really funny, but a little sarcastic at times. And I just like to have a good time with things. I don't take things too seriously. And I think that's where this whole being professional versus don't take it too seriously thing comes into play, because that's definitely two sides that are very opposite.
Do you think that right now in your business, you have been very professional up to this point?
I definitely think so. Yeah. I've tried experimenting. Like for me, getting on stories on Instagram was so difficult. Like even just taking a video and being like, hey everyone, like my first stories were like a tour a mess. And I think I'm slowly improving on those. And even with reels, like I made one reel and it was like, it took me like a week to figure it out. And even those, I don't think I was like being like super like ridiculous in them or anything like that, you know? So, yeah.
And how is that going for you? Has that been successful so far?
In terms of connecting with people, not really. I would say like things haven't really changed in terms of like, I feel how people are viewing me online, or in terms of like how I've been connecting with people online either.
And how would you like your connections to be online? Like, what would you love for it to look like?
I would like for my clients to see me as a friend, really, like, or to be friends with these people, you know, really understand where they're coming from, you know, want them to trust me more as a person and kind of know that like I've been there, I can help them with it, as opposed to seeing me as someone who might like look down on them for not knowing what they're doing, or might think that I'm better than them for any reason.
Okay. Have you gotten any feedback that like specifically that has indicated that like people think that you look down on them or anything like that?
No, that's that's definitely just in my head.
Okay, cool, great. So I just want you to see first that how you think people perceive you may not really be how people perceive you. I would love for you to connect with, and you've gotten clients, right?
Yep.
You're not, yeah, you have a business that works.
Right.
So some part of this professionalism, the way you've been showing up, has worked to some degree. You think that there is more connection to be had that would enhance your business.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay, cool. So we're gathering like all the raw ingredients right now. This is good.
Big cake.
We're baking a cake. We're baking a cake of authenticity and vulnerability. It's going to be awesome. So something that I want you to see really clearly first is that whenever we are in this like internal struggle, for you internally, does it feel like you're in this like kind of back and forth between these two things that you could be, but you like don't know quite how to do either one perfectly? It's like this very black and white. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
What does that sound like in your head?
It kind of looks like people on a seesaw. It just like goes up and down all the time. And I feel like that imbalance is like what's causing me to like not, I feel like I need to commit to one side, you know. That imbalance is what's causing people to like not be able to connect with me, because they can see that like I'm not 100% on one side of the seesaw.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so the language you're using is super clear. I love it. I have this beautiful image of you kind of, so you said seesawing back and forth, and you use some other language like I have to commit to one side. That's like super indicative of like just a clear parts conflict internally. There's this battle going on between one side or the other, and it has to be one way or the other. And so this happens anytime we're in conflict with ourselves or with another person. There are only two sides to be had. There's no potential middle ground here whatsoever. And that's what we're going to look for. We're going to find that for you so that you don't have to fight with yourself anymore, because and the other part of it too is like you probably in your mind think that like the funny, outgoing, adventurous side is like significantly more valuable than the professionalism aspect too, right? It's like, okay, yeah, you're like, if I could just be that, then it'd be perfect, right? So when we're in the conflict too, what we usually do is whatever side we prefer will like amplify the light aspect of that side. And then whatever side we don't prefer, the side that we don't want to be, or the person that's in conflict with us, we're going to magnify the dark aspects of that. So then it becomes this really imbalanced picture of these two parts that are at war. One's the bad one, one's the good one. That's just how we naturally do it. So for you, the one side that's the good one is like the funny, adventurous, outgoing, humorous aspect. And the bad one is the professional, strict, authoritative one, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So to balance these aspects out, they're both useful, they're both valuable, they're both important, and you can't move forward without them both. So rather than just seesawing onto only one side and committing to only one side, what we're going to do instead is we're going to balance the seesaw so that it's flat and gives you space to move forward in a direction that we haven't discovered yet. So we're going to discover that. Does that sound good?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Okay. Does that picture look good to you? Like
Yeah.
just a balanced, even piece?
Yeah, pretty much. I would say, I guess at the end, like I see it as like two people on a seesaw, and at the end they like come off the seesaw and it just like stood together. There's like not even any more like crazy up and downs. It's just like the seesaw is gone. They're just together.
Perfect. Okay, love that. Beautiful. So that's what we're aiming for. We're aiming for these two pieces that are seesawing back and forth to actually just jump off the seesaw and come together, and then the seesaw disappears altogether. Okay, cool. So what we're going to look at first is we're going to look at like the good aspects of the part that you don't like. We're going to find out and talk to that one and see how it like could be useful and important in moving forward. So if we are to look at that professional aspect and what it's served to you up to this point in time, how do you think that's useful and helpful to you in any way?
Well, that side's definitely the education piece of it, having that background knowledge, having the understanding. And then, I also think that for clients having a coach who, has these specific credentials, who they know that has been through school is definitely appealing in some way, for sure.
Yeah. What aspect of that do you think is like super appealing to a client?
Knowing that I know my stuff and that they're not just like putting themselves through something that either won't work or, there's no background to it or no structure.
Beautiful. I love that word, structure. Like this aspect gives what you're doing a validity, like a solidness, like a really deep level of like structure and groundedness. That
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah, really, can you see how that would be like super valuable and
Yeah.
super important?
Yep.
Okay, awesome. So we're not going to reject that part. We're going to integrate it. We're going to say, okay, great. You can come along. We want that. We want the groundedness. We want the structure. We want the deep, like rooted understanding. We want to bring that. Okay. So if we now are to go look at the other side, the funny, adventurous, sarcastic, outgoing, have a good time, I want to look at like what could be like the dark shadow aspect of that. Like what's hidden there that could not necessarily be so great that we want to avoid.
I guess it could come off as like too not caring or like too much, too little structure in a sense. That I don't know what I'm talking about, that I don't take it seriously, that there might be a lack of like seriousness or like time commitment involved, something like that.
Cool. So as we move forward, we're going to integrate the structure for sure. And we're going to try to avoid coming off in a way that's like, I don't actually care about you. I don't really take this seriously. There's not a commitment involved in this because it's a relationship that does require commitment and does require some level of serious care for a person. Cool. So, and then what's the light aspect of that? Like the things we do want to bring along from that side.
That people know I'm real and not just some like bot on the internet, like
Yeah. I love that. Cool. Awesome. Okay. So if we are to, anything else you want to add from that? The light aspect, the fun part of you?
That I'm a human and I get it and I've been there before and they can trust me.
Yeah. Cool. And what benefit does it bring you personally to show up that way?
I think showing up that way kind of decreases stress on my part. Like I don't have to worry about, say something goes wrong, I could be like, honest mistake, like this happened, or like, I can, that's who I am. So that's like, if I'm showing as myself, like it's so much easier to like just be me, as opposed to like having to force myself into being this like different version of me online. So
Yeah, would that feel like relief?
yeah, absolutely. Relief, like ease.
Awesome. Okay. I want you to imagine the Vanika who is like somewhere in the middle here that we haven't yet discovered yet.
Mm-hmm.
Like, can you see a version of you that is integrated in both this like knowledge and understanding and structure, and also is human and can make mistakes and is like at ease and peace, like you're a human? Could you see how those two could come together? What does that look like?
It kind of looks like the two puzzle pieces like clicking together, although like how I'm envisioning it right now, like they're not quite like clicked into place. They're kind of just like next to the, like ready to just like,
Okay. What's missing for them to click together?
I think like trust in both sides that like they can work together, and like it will work if they are together.
Yes. Okay, great. So I'm wondering if it's possible for like could you like picture those two like right out here? Like, are they willing to communicate with each other?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, great. Um, which one feels more open to making contact or communicating with the other?
I think the dark sided one.
Okay, great. So
No.
perfect. So I would love for the dark sided one, let's just ask it like, what do you need to hear to trust that this will work?
That it's okay to like let loose sometimes and show who you really are. Because in a sense, like being a professional and being a dietitian is part of who you are. So doing that is okay.
Mm-hmm. Great. And what about the other one? What does the light one need to hear to trust that it's going to work? It's going to be okay.
That being a professional, like showing up, like you have some authority, doesn't make you any less fun or any less authentic. It could potentially even make you look more authentic in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Do they feel closer together? Do they feel like they're able to match, to click? Does that feel easier?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Did we get it, or does it still need a little more?
I think it probably needs a little more.
Okay, perfect. So I want you to imagine, and just close your eyes and imagine for a second. And I want you to see those two pieces. They're so close to clicking. They're like, okay, it's okay to let loose. It's okay to show who you really are. And being a professional doesn't make you any less fun. You get to be a fun professional. You get to show up in a way that's knowledgeable and entertaining and authentic and joyful. You get to share information from your heart. You get to share your story. You get to show up with like humor and empathy and humanness in your sharing of all of your deep knowledge. I want you to imagine as I'm speaking this, the parts are coming a little bit closer together. You can see them slowly start to get a little bit closer and a little bit closer. And you can affirm to them that it's safe to come together as the fun professional. It's safe to show up fully as Vanika in your dietitian professionalism, in your joyful expression, in your humor. Those two are so safe to be together. Can you tell me what you see here?
Yeah, they definitely just clicked.
Yay! Beautiful.
Yeah, that they did that in my head, but
What were the words that created that for you?
it was definitely when you talked about being knowledgeable and being authentic and like energetic and like at the same time.
Hmm. Could you see what that would look like for you online?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Cool. Can you explain what that would look like? Like what kind of content would you create? Like what kind of persona would that come with? What would that look like?
Um, I definitely think like showing more of like my life and my experiences like as I'm going along because I feel like part of the reason I'm doing this is because this is my own journey as well. Like this is my own like work with, you know, building up my fitness, eating better, loving my body and like having self-confidence. And like that's my own journey too. And that's something that I try and like bring my clients along with. And it's something that I don't show that much of. It's more of like, this is what you should be doing. Like this is a workout you could be doing, as opposed to being like, look at what I'm doing too. Like I'm also in this with you. Like we're in this together kind of situation.
Oh, that feels so good. Oh, that feels so good. That feels like you would be able to simultaneously share education because you have a lot of background in the things that you're doing. You could simultaneously share that education and knowledge while opening yourself up as a human. Like this is me. This is what I'm doing and how I'm approaching this from a stance of my own education. I'm including that in what I'm sharing. Does that sound good? That look good?
It definitely does. It definitely looks good.
Yeah.
That's something that I can do easily. Like I think
Mm-hmm.
about like relief earlier, and it's kind of like, like doing that actually does show both sides really well.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Ah, great. That feels so good. Cool. We talked a little bit about at the beginning, like that your ideal outcome would be feeling more confident and showing up as yourself. Does that feel easier? Does that feel like you'd be able to do that?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I feel like I can like go into it now in the headspace that like both sides like can and are now working together, as opposed to like thinking that my content has to either fit like one or the other. It can now fit both at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Great. That sounds awesome. I love that. How do you feel now after that session? How do you feel just in general?
I feel really good. I feel great. I feel like in a way I'm like, wow, like that was so easy to come to that conclusion, but something that like was also like really interesting and like difficult to come to that conclusion at the same time. So not that
Yeah, I love that. I love that reflection back because yeah, change work, I want to like continue to share this message that like change work doesn't have to be this like deep dragging out traumatizing everyone's crying thing. It gets to be fun and enjoyable and it's challenging, yes, because you had to creatively come up with solutions. You, by the way, you generated all of that. Just so you know, like I just, asked the questions to get you to create that. You came up with your own solution that it looks like you sharing your story and sharing more of your life in that space of authenticity and simultaneously professionalism and knowledge. Like that was 100% your creation. So, it requires so you did it. It requires some creative thinking. And also, it doesn't have to be super challenging or complicated. So great. And now two parts of you that were previously in conflict get to like click together like puzzle pieces. Does the seesaw feel like it's gone too?
yeah. Yeah, it's like very faint in the background, but I feel like if I keep like working at it, it'll be actually putting it into practice. I think will like solidify that they can work together. And I have that idea now, so it's like
Cool.
not doing it.
Okay, I want to solidify it one more time for you. So I want you to just go ahead and close your eyes. I want you to imagine for one moment that you are about to create your next piece of content. You're about to go share on your story from a place of both knowledge and experience and professionalism and energetic, authentic vulnerability and joy and humor. Can you see that in your head?
Yep.
Do you see the seesaw pictured? Is it there? Can you feel it a little bit, or is it gone?
Nope. Now I'm picturing it. It's gone. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Great. So you can just take a breath there. I want you to like also go ahead and squeeze your upper arm as you take this breath. Just squeeze it. Anchor it right there in your physical body. Perfect. Great. And take one more breath. Exhale. One last little squeeze, and then you can open your eyes. Great. Cool. So anchoring it physically is going to help with that. Yeah, you can go ahead and like shake your hands out if that feels good. Yeah. Anchoring that physically for you is going to give you a space to come back to. So when you go to create that content, when you're ready to go share in this way online and you feel maybe the seesaw kind of starts to come back a little bit, you can just go ahead and give yourself a squeeze the same way you just did. And remember and anchor that anchored physical experience that you have. So you can check back in. Oh yeah, I'm good. I'm safe to do this. That's great. I can do that. So
I like that. That's awesome.
Yeah. And I mean, that in general too, just like hugging yourself and doing like this, you can't see if you're listening to this, but going ahead and giving yourself a hug and then having your hands up on your shoulders and dragging them down towards your elbows in like a downward, like hugging motion. It's called rehoming. You can do that with a breath. It's a signal that you are safe in your physical body. So anytime you feel stress or anxiety come up, you can just give yourself a squeeze and a hug and then like drag down your arms to like signal, I'm good, I'm safe. It's like a really good, powerful physical cue. So.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Yeah, I use that one a lot. Cool. All right, we'll wrap it up. That feels good. Is there anything else that you want to share or ask or do anything in this time?
I'm trying to think. No, I don't think so. I think I'm just like excited to like go and like try this out now. But I
Yeah.
feel like after I try out, I'm gonna be like, Hannah, help.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, if you have questions, feel free to just shoot me a message. Like if you get there and the seesaw comes up and you're like, wait, I forgot how to do this now. We just did this thing and now I have no idea what I'm doing. Please send me a message. I'm happy to help you integrate that and move that forward for you. So
Awesome.
yeah. Great. I'm going to stop the recording and we can keep chatting. So thank you so much for listening to this. If you love this and you're just like, holy shit, how did you just do that in like 20 minutes? These kinds of techniques are what I'm going to be teaching inside of the Inner Edge program that I'm creating. I'm building a course that includes NLP. It includes these rehoming techniques, parts conflict, EFT, which is emotional freedom technique, trauma work. Like just so much work for subconscious transformation, which is what we're doing here, which is literally giving her access keys without any of the painful suffering stuff and also really fast, right? Like that was like 20 minutes and you're going to be able to go forward and like have freedom in your creation and expression, which I think is just so powerful. So this course is for you to get transformation and also to have the tools to do this for your clients. So if you're interested in what we're doing, please shoot me a message. Enrollment opens in a couple weeks. So I love you and I hope that you have the best day. And Vanika, I want to talk to you more. Okay, let me stop the recording on here.